Welcome back to the Royals Review podcast. I'm your host, Dan Worth, as ever, joined by Rami and Jimmy. We're here today to discuss Reading's disappointing trip to AFC Wimbledon at the weekend. Our struggles continue in the capital. We've got to put an end to that ridiculous record now, but unfortunately couldn't do it against a struggling Wimbledon side. Jim, I'll start with you. Any positives to take from the result, or is it really as bad as I and everyone else seems to suggest?
I think the only positive is Jack Marriott got on the score sheet again. I genuinely can't think of anything else. That's got to be down there with one of the worst performances in a long time.
Yeah.
Short but sweet.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's quite hard to reach for any positives after a result like that, especially when we go into the game expecting to win, right? You look at the form of AFC Wimbledon, you look at the struggles that they've had scoring goals. To concede at all was disappointing, but to concede three for the second time in a handful of away games is just, it's really poor from us. And I think we've had so many chats this season about how Reading need to improve going forward. It's starting to look like Reading need to improve at the back. And my first question that I'm going to come to you for, Rami, is we've signed a centre-back that comes with a lot of high ratings and, just general positivity, and yet we haven't seen him. Is there a reason for that, or do you think he's not quite ready?
I think Richardson's taken his time with implementing, and obviously he brought him in on a long-term contract. The idea is that he'll be the future or part of the future of the club and potentially get into the starting lineup soon. But I think League Two to League One is a decent jump, especially when you're halfway through a season and you're trying to either push for the playoffs or stay in the mid-table where Reading currently are. So I think he's just trying to get Ben used to being around the club, being around match days, that sort of thing. And he's going to bring him in when he feels like the time is right. Because, Richardson has kind of a history with this sort of thing. He's brought in a lot of academy players. He's brought in a lot of young players, not just here, but at different clubs as well. So I think he knows when the time is right, or when he wants to bring someone in, he feels like, you could step up now. You can go into that position. But for example, Nyambe, Keane and Roberts all fit in straight away because they already have that experience, and Richardson already kind of trusts them because he's played with them before. He knows that they played at a higher level, so it's something that they're accustomed to and they can fit right in. Whereas Ward, he's been playing senior football for a while, but it's always been in lower leagues rather than in League One. So I think it's just getting him up to speed.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Just seems like if you can do it in League Two, then playing against Wimbledon is not too much higher standard than that. Question marks there. We've got more question marks about team selection, which I'm sure we'll come back to. But Jim, any thoughts on the defensive performance from you?
Yeah, I think it was terrible. And I guess sort of one name that we haven't mentioned so far is Finley Burns, who I think is, more than capable of starting. I think he's been unlucky not to start recently. So I think after that performance and after a few shaky performances defensively in the last few weeks, I think Finley Burns should sort of slot straight back in. I think I agree with Rami, to be fair. Is it worth rushing in a player as soon as he signed? Yeah, there's it's not been the best defensively, but there is the question of whether you're just sort of throwing a new signing into the deep end. I'm sure Richardson's got a plan that would be much better than anything that we can think of when it comes to sort of phasing in a new signing from a lower league. So I'm not disappointed that he's not started yet. I'm looking forward to seeing him, but I think the big question mark is around Burns and why he's not starting, because I don't think O'Connor's been particularly good recently. I think that would sort of be where the replacement is. It would be on that side. But then again, there's a lot of question marks around Dorset as well. So, could we see both Burns and Ward start the next game? I think if it was ever going to happen, it would be after that, because I mean, I know Dorset scored. I don't think he was any worse than anyone else on that pitch, to be honest. But, you know, it was a terrible game defensively.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think we mentioned every other centre-back that we've got, so may as well mention Derek Williams as well, but I think we're really missing him. I know Paulie has loads of experience, but I feel like we're missing Derek Williams' experience because, yeah, since he's been out, we seem to be conceding quite frequently. And as I already said, 3 against Leyton Orient, 3 against Wimbledon, teams that have struggled to score recently, particularly Wimbledon. And they seem to just be able to have their way with us. So it's just, it raises massive question marks because we looked all right against Northampton. We look all right against other teams, but we come up against Wimbledon and just look terrible. Another player then that I thought didn't have the best game. I mean, we can go through the 11, I think, really with that sort of comment. But Joel Pereira at fault for at least one of the goals. I've seen a fair bit of discourse saying that we should give Stevens a go. I can preface this question with I absolutely disagree with that. But your thoughts, Rami?
Yeah, I disagree with that too. Just because Pereira had one bad game doesn't mean he should be, it's from the starting 11. I think people forget at Northampton that 1v1 and some of the saves he made against them and some of the saves he made against multiple teams in the last few weeks. It's kept Reading in the game, kept them from losing at certain instances. So, yeah, no, he did make 2 big mistakes. Well, the first one, I don't know if it was a full mistake, but obviously he palmed it into the path of Marcus Brown, who was just there, just tapped it in. But the second one where he dropped it, that was quite a massive mistake to make in your box. But yeah, so no, I think it's just a bad day in the office, and it was a bad day in the office for everyone. It wasn't just him. So I wouldn't drop him from the starting 11.
Yeah, I completely agree. I went in and looked at his time at Reading on the whole, and the error that he made that led to that second goal is the second error he's made since he's played for Reading. And I think based on that alone, it just goes to show how important he is to this team. And he's so good because, yeah, every keeper will have a bad day. And yes, Joel Pereira probably the first to put his hands up and say that the weekend wasn't his finest. But yeah, as you say, he pivotal in the 3 points at Northampton and many other points that we've gained over the last few seasons. So I think we can let him off one bad game. And not, he doesn't need to be replaced, I don't think. Another player then, let's talk about him, who I would suggest has had quite a few bad games recently and is somebody that I would like to see omitted from the side. It's Ritchie. Jim, I'll come to you, but what do you make of the impact that Ritchie's had for this Reading side? And yeah, do you think he's just struggling, or I don't really know what's going on with him?
Yeah, well, I don't think he's really having much of an impact on pitch. That's the thing. He looked, when he first signed, you could see that he'd obviously played at a very high level, the highest of levels, because he looked great. Like, it's just his first touch, just being able to take on players or just like retain the ball under pressure. You could see that he had that quality. So I was really hoping that he would hit some form, and like he was decent last season at Portsmouth in the Championship. So like there was no reason why he wouldn't be able to perform by dropping down a league. But yeah, I just especially after that last performance, I just can't see why you would name him ahead of Young, who I was also really surprised that didn't make the squad. I don't know if there's a reason. Rami, you might know a little bit more if you've spoken with Richardson, but it's a shame, really. I don't think Ritchie's having the impact that like anyone expected him to have. So that's a bit disappointing, really, because I think on the whole, the majority of signings that we made have been all right. But yeah, it's not looking too good for Ritchie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's really struggled to make an impact. And yes, you can't disagree that he's got experience and he probably is having a positive impact in the changing room and on the training ground and everything. But I just think he's been worked out. Like, he's got no pace. He's not beating anyone going forward. And when we've just signed someone who, admittedly, I know very little about, but is a player that has pace, I would much rather see him given a go than Ritchie, because yeah, I don't know. He looked well out of his depth, in my opinion, and was literally just barging people around. And then, yeah, what happens at the end where he's laughing with the Reading fans is pretty inexcusable to me. So yeah, I would happily see him rested for a little while, because I don't think he's quite up to it. But luckily we've got Young, as I say, so we've got something we can gamble on and hope that they're a little bit better, and also hopefully Daniel's not out for too much longer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like that's kind of like the like incident at the end is kind of like the last thing you'd expect from someone like Ritchie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah, I don't get it. Like, at the end of the day, we got whacked by Wimbledon. Like, you don't, if you're going for the playoffs, like you can't be losing games like that and then acting up at the end. So yeah, that's disappointing. But you know, it's there's not really any excuse now for Young to not be starting whilst Kyrie was out. So yeah, excited to see what he can bring.
Yeah, agree. Let's go to you then, Rami, on Young. I'm assuming it was just a bit of the game came too soon for Young to feature.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of it. He hasn't had that many senior minutes in football in general. This season, he's only played one game, and it was the the game against Salzburg. So that's the only appearance he's made this whole season for the senior team. He's played, obviously, for the under-19s, under-21s, that sort of thing, but he's not up to speed with league football and in general just senior football. So I feel like Richardson's kind of embedding him in. He'd only signed on Monday, so, and at the last minute as well. So I feel like he's taking his time with him. That's why he kind of said at the end of the game, it was just, he's ready for us. It's just, it was a decision. He just decided not to add him to the match squad. So I feel like he's just taking his time to make sure that he's up to fitness, ready for football, and not just thrown into the deep end on a Saturday, really. Especially Daniel Chilwell, he's got big boots to fill in terms of that, because he's been kind of a mainstay for Reading this whole time. So yeah, it's a lot to ask of him. Whereas when you have like lone players like Kamari Doyle and Finley Burns, both of them have already played in League One, have played in League Two, have also played, well, I think Finley played in La Liga as well. So like they've got that senior kind of football pedigree behind them. They know what they're doing, so they can be slotted in straight away. Whereas Caden Young doesn't have that. And yeah, it's a difficult situation. I personally think it would have been too soon. That's just my opinion. I think it would have been too soon to throw him in on a Saturday. Maybe on tomorrow would make sense to bring him into the bench, especially because we don't know the situation of Will Keane. He obviously came off. It's a groin injury. Chira was out. Randall Williams is out. They need a winger. So it makes sense to add him into the squad. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm looking forward to seeing him get some minutes, because he's such a complete unknown to me, which I find quite exciting. Right, the last player then that I've got on the list to talk through is Captain Fantastic, Lewis Wing. Well, not so fantastic at the weekend, but again, a bad performance leads to people across socials saying he should be relieved of his captaincy, maybe dropped X, Y, and Z. I mean, look, I think he had a stinker, to be perfectly honest, and I've been a massive Lewis Wing fan forever, and I've backed him up through pretty much everything. But I can't back up his performance at the weekend. I thought he was poor, but I thought everyone was poor. To suggest that he's dropped, I still think is completely ridiculous. I'm still of the opinion he's one of the best players in the league. Again, I don't love him having a pop at the fans after. I don't love any player doing that. I think it's a bit unprofessional, even if the fans were overstepping the mark, or a handful of them were overstepping the mark. I don't want to see that, particularly from the captain. But yeah, I certainly don't want Lewis Wing dropped. I actually think that Reading are just putting a massive over-reliance on Lewis Wing. And when the opposition does a job on him, i.e. marks him out of the game, we're struggling to find the quality elsewhere to pick up results. And I think that would lead to frustration for Lewis Wing. But it's too much for one player to have all of that burden on his shoulders. Like, he's playing CDM, he's our second highest scorer. He can't do everything every week, and the fact that he's done everything for however many games we've played so far is a miracle, quite frankly. So, yeah, I think I look at Wing's bad performance and think we really need more from other players. I'm not saying he shouldn't be held accountable, because he should, because it wasn't great. But yeah, I think he needs a bit of help in the midfield. Am I being an idiot, Jim?
No, I fully agree. I mean, we played 29 games. He's got 8 goals, 7 assists, and he's got 6 man of the match ratings. I think that sort of speaks for itself. And I think what you just said about over relying on Lewis Wing is pretty much spot on. I think it's clear to see that we sort of lack creativity. Lewis Wing is probably our most creative player. Is he playing in a position where he can fully, be as creative as he could possibly be? Probably not. Is that his fault? No. There's other players that definitely need to step up. Wingers, Kamara Doyle especially. This is the business end of the season now, and we've seen improvement from him over the last few weeks. But I still think, and it's a question that we've spoken about quite a lot, is that there is a massive over reliance on Lewis Wing, and he's a fantastic player. And it just gets to a point that if he doesn't perform at that level constantly, then people just start getting annoyed, and that, in my eyes, is totally unfair.
Yeah, I agree. But with all of that said, I'm expecting more from Lewis Wing tomorrow night, because he is a fantastic player. And again, he can have bad games. He's not immune to it. That's fine. But the good players bounce back from bad games and put in a big performance. So hopefully we see that against Wigan.
For sure.
Right, 2 more questions on the Wimbledon game, then we can put a line through that and move on and hopefully be a little bit more positive. But Rami, bad day at the office or wider issue? This is a repeat of the question we had after the Leyton Orient game, I think.
Bad day at the office. I think they weren't up for it. The whole squad wasn't up for it. From what I watched, they all looked defeated from the first goal, really. I kind of mentioned Lewis Wing there. He had a pop at Will Keane in the first half before he got injured, and I thought, can't be doing that in front of the Wimbledon players, because it just means it shows your frustration. It shows you're they're getting to you. And I think it was a miscued pass or miscued touch, which led to a counter attack or something like that. And Lewis Wing just kind of exploded a little bit at Will Keane, which I thought was a bit much, but it is what it is. I think it was just a bad day at the office all round, because we still had some good moments. Reading still had some good moments of attack. Kamara Doyle with his assist, and then obviously Dorset with his header at the end there, near the end there. But in general, I just think outperformed by Wimbledon. They wanted it more. They had more, I don't know what the word is. They had more desire. Yeah, they had more desire to win the game than Reading did. And it was kind of clear to see from how they were playing and how they were acting and how the fans were cheering every single thing they did. It wasn't just they made a counter-attack, so we're going to cheer them. It was no, they made a good pass, we're going to cheer them. And so fans are behind them. They were at home. The whole environment, it went against Reading, and I just think they just didn't turn up. So,
yeah, I agree. I do think that fans are. I don't know. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think you can voice that, but I do think Reading fans are quite quick to get on the players' backs at the moment. And I know we expect more, and we definitely expect more than what we saw on Saturday. But I think, and even for the players to an extent, I think we went into that game just thinking we will win this. And League One is not really that league. Yes, on paper we are better than Wimbledon. They have been in a torrid run of form, but any team can beat any team in this league. You can't go, particularly away from home, and expect to win games without putting in effort. And I think we saw that. I think we were a bit complacent, and we got beat. But we're going to play Wigan very soon, tomorrow, which means that the players have a chance to put that defeat aside and hopefully get some points. But Jim, what needs to change if we're to get a result against Wigan?
The defence, I think that's where our issue is at the moment. It's just not solid enough. I mean, I think realistically, 4 out of the last 5 games we played have been poor. Leighton Orient, we got whacked there. I think the 2 draws at home against Barnsley and Exeter, again, they're 2 fixtures, especially at home, that you need to be getting 3 points from. If you're eyeing up promotion as we are. Yeah, the performance at Northampton was good, but I feel like that's that was expected. Northampton aren't great. And then against Wimbledon they were poor. So I think I'd like to see some changes in defence for sure. I mean, it's hard to sort of pinpoint. I think besides Marriott, you could kind of anyone could get replaced after last week, after the performance on the weekend. But I don't think they will. I think we may see Young come in, and then we could see some changes in defence for sure.
Yeah, nice. I was just going to pick up on something you said then, and I bet that there are so many fans of teams in League One and the Championship that feel the same. But don't you just think Reading are not very good against teams that aren't very good? Like, I would much rather play Cardiff at the moment, and I know that we'll put in a good performance. The players will be bang up for it. But then we go and play Northampton. Okay, we won, fine. But we played Leighton Orient, weren't really up for it. Played Wimbledon twice this season, weren't up for it and got beat both times. I don't know what it is, but it feels like we're just not as good against teams that aren't very good. Let me know if you agree with me or if I'm talking absolute rubbish, but I'm sure it's an age-old Reading thing. So particularly any older listeners, let me know if that's something that's gone on for a while. Right, a few questions then. I think we've actually answered a lot of them. But Rami, this first one's for you, I think. What's the deal with Rinomhota? Because I think he played 45 minutes for the under-21s, right?
Yeah. Last week I spoke to Richardson. He just said he's in a better place now. He played for the under-21s just to get back to match fitness. So it looks like things are moving in the right direction. We'll probably see him in the match day squad soon. But it's just can't really put timing on personal matters, can you? So no. It is what it is at the moment. But I think we'll see him back in the match day squad potentially in the next few weeks. So
good stuff. Yeah, I mean, like what's going on with Rinomhota is obviously much more important, and I'm sure all of us wish him the very best. But hope to see him feature soon because I really like him. Last question then. I mean, maybe you can both have a go at this. I don't really know what I think, so I can go last. As a fan base, should we just accept that the football is dreadful to watch, but it doesn't matter if the results are good? Jim, let's go with you first.
It's a hard one because, I feel like there's only so much quality that you're going to see in this league, and you have to grind out results, and they don't always look pretty. But I don't think we're definitely not, as a club, we shouldn't be in this league. So I don't think we should sort of accept it being very mediocre. There's a lot of performances this season that have been really, really shit. Let's face it. The one on the weekend, especially. But I think when it comes to watching pretty football, that's not necessarily something that you're going to see week in, week out in any of the teams in this league. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't say there's a team that we've played so far this season, or that's even in this league that you're gonna watch them play a completely different way of football that is more what Premier League standard is probably the best way to describe it. I just don't think it exists. You might have players that look decent, but I don't think as a team you're going to find some a standout.
Yeah, I agree. I think to an extent, and this is probably a bit too dramatic and harsh, but some fans need a bit of a reality check. Like I've said from the outset, I think we all have, to be fair, that the biggest aim for this season is stability and to come out of the end of it in the best place possible, that then we can go on the hunt for promotion. Now, that doesn't mean we can't do that this season, but after everything we went through last season, to expect to make 4 signings in the summer, if that, and go up, it's just not the case. And now I still think we can do well. I still think we can beat a lot of teams in this league, but realistically, we're going to come mid-table. Like we might get close to the playoffs, but we don't have that, I don't think. But the signings we made in January mean that when we start next season, we can do that and we can go for it. So I don't know. You shouldn't accept dreadful football, but we're trying to build something, I think. And I'm sure that's what the owners and the staff will say too. But no one knows more better than that than you, Rami. So what's going on?
I think the best way to phrase it is it's League One. Like, you're not going to get pretty results. You're not going to get pretty football. None of the teams play attractive football. You just play football to get the results to get out the league. That's just the type of league it is. It's the same with League Two. Those two leagues, it's just that way. You probably, if you get to the Championship, you see a bit more tactical, like cohesion, a bit more like, do you know what I mean, prettier football because they're preparing for the Premier League. But when it comes to League One, you're doing anything you can to get the ball into the back of the net. Doesn't matter how it gets there. You just need it in the back of the net. So I do think it is unrealistic to expect the performances to be like stellar, Barcelona-esque, Manchester United-esque. It's just not going to happen. But at the same time, I think the club's vision and Richardson's vision is quite realistic as to we have to kind of remember where we were or where Reading was before the man came in. They were near the relegation zone. And you can say we're still like 8-9 points clear of it. And we're like, with the performances we're going down, but at the same time, we're still further away from the relegation zone than before he came in. And it's because of that run of results he had in December, run of results kind of in January. He started to build something that, will build a foundation for the future. And that's why they made the signings in January, the long-term ones and the loans that could be made permanent, because they're looking towards the future. Might not happen this season. They may not get promoted this season. Obviously, it would be great if they get into the playoffs, and I think that is an ambition that the whole squad have. They really want to get to the playoffs. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, because it builds it's a foundational season for next season to be like, okay, we've got our ducks in a row now. Go into the summer. We know what players we need. We could do it next season. And that's exactly what he did at Wigan. So it's something to kind of consider in that regard. But yeah, I don't know what else to kind of say about that or a view in that regard. But the playoffs is a good goal to have. And I think it's achievable if they continue to perform well. Obviously, they've had a few blips here and there, but if they get back to where they were in December, then it'll come good. But at the same time, he's just had an influx of new players that have come in, that have been pushed into the starting 11. They're getting used to playing with each other. They've only had, 2-3 games together. Most of the squad have had 2 seasons together, 2-3 seasons together. It's about cohesion. So it is going to take a while, but Reading is moving in the right direction. I that's something to be grateful for, because this time last year, people were talking about whether they're going to have a club or not. And now you're in a stable position. You're mid-table in League One with a potential to get into the playoffs. And I think that's something to commend, even if the football isn't the prettiest or the most effective. But at the same time, he's still churning out results. Maybe not recently, but he has been churning out results. So,
yeah, I agree. I'm quite happy that this podcast finished. Hopefully after the Exeter, it won't be Exeter. It will be Wigan. Hopefully after the Wigan game, we can talk about some sort of happy things, maybe see some more goals, and hopefully get a win. I'm backing Reading to bounce back, to be honest, because it can't get much worse, to be frank.
Well, Wigan are a bit of a situation at the moment, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, agreed. Right. Okay then, chaps. Let's catch up after the Wigan game. But thanks as ever for joining me, and thanks to everyone who's listened. Hopefully Reading will be back with a big performance just tomorrow night. But we'll catch you after that. Cheers, guys.
Good.